There is a moment, right before the world wakes up, when everything is still, when the noise hasn't started yet, when the weight of the day hasn't found you. And in that stillness, something stirs, something that doesn't belong to the morning, something older than the morning, something that has always been there. You've felt it before. Maybe you didn't have a name for it. Maybe you called it peace, or a strange warmth, or that inexplicable sense that you are not alone. But if you sit with it long enough, if you stay in that moment and don't rush past it, you begin to realize what you are feeling is not just a feeling. It is a presence. I want to talk to you today about that presence, not in a way that requires you to have the right words, or the right posture, or even the right amount of faith. I want to talk to you about the simple, undeniable truth that God can be felt. Not just believed in, not just intellectually accepted, but felt in the body, in the breath, in the bones. Stay with me. Let's go slowly. The language underneath language. We live in a world that is very loud. Every hour, something is demanding your attention. Every screen, every notification, every conversation is pulling at the edge of you, trying to make you look over here or over there. And after a while, you forget what silence feels like. You forget that you have an interior life. You forget that beneath all the noise, there is a you that has been quietly waiting. God speaks in that quiet place, not always in words, not always in visions, often just in a knowing, a settling, a sense of being held that doesn't come from any human hand. Think about the last time you were outside, really outside. Not just passing through a parking lot or walking from one building to another, but genuinely present in open space. Maybe you were near water. Maybe it was the sky at dusk, that bruised, tender purple that doesn't last, the kind of sky that makes you stop mid-step. What did you feel in that moment? Was it just aesthetic appreciation? Or was it something more personal? Like something had been arranged just for you? Like you had been invited into a conversation that had no words? That is not your imagination. That is not sentimentality. That is contact. That is the sensation of being seen by something greater than you, something that made the sky and also made you. And somehow, those two makings are not unrelated. You belong to the same author, and every now and then, the author lets you feel it. What it feels like. People describe the presence of God in so many different ways. Some say it feels like warmth, like a heat that moves through the chest and settles into the stomach. Some say it feels like weight, a gentle heaviness, like being wrapped in something you can't see. Some say it feels like electricity, a current moving through them that makes the skin prickle and the eyes fill. Some say it feels like memory, like suddenly remembering something you didn't know you'd forgotten, like catching a glimpse of something familiar in a place you've never been, an inexplicable recognition, home, without a house. And some say it's quieter than all of that, just a hush, a deepening, like the world around them faded slightly, and for just a moment, they were completely, unburdenedly themselves. None of these descriptions are wrong. They're all pointing at the same thing. They're all the vocabulary of contact, the limited, beautiful human attempt to describe what happens when the finite brushes up against the infinite. And here is what I want you to know. You don't have to manufacture any of it. You don't have to perform a certain kind of emotion. You don't have to reach some spiritual threshold before you're allowed to feel it. It is already reaching for you. It has always been reaching for you. Your job, if you can even call it a job, is simply to stop running in the other direction. The body knows. Let's talk about your body for a moment, because your body has been keeping a record of everything you've ever felt. Every grief that didn't have words, every joy that was almost too large to hold, every moment of peace that came from nowhere and left too soon. Your body remembered all of it. And your body knows how to receive presence. It knows how to respond to something sacred. You've felt it in moments of true worship. When a song reaches inside you and finds something. When you're in a room full of people all crying at the same time for the same reason. And you didn't expect to cry, but there you are. You felt it in moments of great beauty. In music that undoes you. In art that looks directly into you. In a child's laugh that somehow contains everything good about the world. Those moments are not accidents. They are not just neurological events. They are invitations. They are thin places, where the distance between you and the divine collapses just enough for you to feel the warmth on the other side. Right now, as you listen, I want you to take a slow breath. Not because I'm asking you to do anything in particular, but because your breath is one of the truest things about you. Every single one of them was given. Every single one is a gift you didn't earn. Feel that. Feel the gift of it. The lungs expanding, the quiet work your body does without being told. That faithfulness, that extraordinary, unremarkable faithfulness, is not accidental. It is tended. When you couldn't feel anything. I know there are seasons when none of this is easy, seasons where the presence feels distant, where you reach and come back empty, where you've prayed so many prayers that your prayers have started to feel like talking to a wall. I don't want to skip past that, because if I only speak to the people who are currently feeling full, I'm leaving out the ones who need this most. So let me speak directly to the ones who are in the dry place right now, the ones who are not sure what they believe anymore, the ones who are grieving something, or exhausted in a way that sleep doesn't fix, or quietly, privately desperate in a way you haven't told anyone. You are not abandoned. I know it feels like you are. I know that the feeling of absence can be so loud, so complete, that it starts to feel like evidence, like proof that there is no one there. But the absence of a feeling is not the absence of a presence. The clouds don't cancel the sun. The winter doesn't mean the tree is dead. The silence of a room doesn't mean it's empty. Sometimes the greatest act of trust is moving through the darkness without the comfort of the light, and still believing that the light is real, still taking the next step, still choosing to say, even into nothing, even into what feels like nothing. I believe you are here, that kind of trust. That stubborn, unrewarded, unsexy, unspectacular trust is one of the most beautiful things a human being can offer, and it is not wasted. Not one drop of it is wasted. The ordinary is not empty. We tend to expect the divine in dramatic moments. We expect thunder. We expect transformation. We expect that when God shows up, we will know it, that it will be unmistakable, that it will look like something we've seen in a movie. But most of my encounters with God, and most of the encounters I've heard people describe, didn't look like that. They looked like Tuesday. They looked like the kitchen sink. They looked like sitting in a car in a parking lot, and suddenly feeling like you are not alone. They looked like waking up at 3 in the morning, not from a nightmare, just awake, and instead of dread, finding something else. Something quiet and attending. Something that felt like it had been sitting there, watching over your sleep. They looked like a stranger saying exactly the right thing, at exactly the right moment, in a way they couldn't possibly have known you needed. And you standing there thinking, that was not a coincidence, that was arranged. The ordinary is not empty, It is saturated every single moment of your life, every unremarkable Tuesday, every mundane Wednesday, every forgettable afternoon is held inside a love that is not casual about you. You are not an afterthought. You are not a bystander in your own story. You are the point. You, specifically, with your particular history and your particular hopes, and your particular way of laughing, and the things that keep you up at night. You are not generic to God. You are known, learning to receive. There's something I've noticed about people who feel God consistently, and it's not that they have more faith than everyone else. It's not that they're holier or more disciplined. It's that they've learned how to receive. They've learned how to slow down enough to notice what's already being given. They've learned that gratitude is not just a nice feeling, it is a posture, a way of standing in your life that makes you permeable, open to what's flowing through it. When you are closed up in anxiety, when you are moving through your days in survival mode, when the pace of your life has become so relentless that you're never really present anywhere, you can still be loved, but you may not be able to feel it. Not because the love has stopped, but because you've stopped receiving. Receiving is a practice. Like any practice, it gets easier the more you do it. It can start very small. A moment of stopping, a moment of naming. Even out loud, even just a whisper, something you are grateful for. Not because gratitude is a transaction. Not because you're trying to earn something, but because gratitude is how you open the hand that has been clenched for so long. And when the hand opens, you discover that something has already been placed in it. You were made for this. Here is something I believe with everything in me. You were not made to live at a distance from God. You were not designed for disconnection. The longing you carry, that unnamed, aching longing for something more, for something that doesn't disappoint, for something that is solid and true and won't leave. That longing is not a malfunction. It is a homing signal. It is the sound of something inside you, reaching toward the thing it was made for. You were made for intimacy with the divine. That is not a grand claim. That is just the truth of your design. The way a plant is designed for sunlight, the way a lung is designed for air, you are designed for this, for nearness, for belonging, for the particular irreplaceable experience of being fully known and fully loved at the same time. That experience is available to you. Not after you've fixed enough things, not after you've arrived at some spiritual maturity you haven't reached yet. Not someday, now, here, in this moment, in this breath. What happens when you stay? I want to tell you what happens when you stay. When you don't run from the quiet, when you let yourself be still long enough to feel whatever is in the room with you. At first it might just be your own thoughts, the to-do list, the unresolved conversation, the fear that keeps wearing different costumes. That's okay. Let it surface. Let it pass. You don't have to chase any of it. Just notice it. Let it move through like weather. And then, underneath the weather, if you stay, there is something else. A quality of quiet that is different from empty quiet. A stillness that has texture. A silence that is somehow full. That is where you find it. Not in the noise, not in the performance, not even in the most beautiful worship experience, though those moments matter and they are real, but in the deep interior stillness, where you are just yourself, undressed of every role you play, every mask you wear, every version of yourself you present to the world, just you, with all your mess and your longing and your history. Just you, present in the quiet. That is where the meeting happens. And when it does, it doesn't always feel spectacular. Sometimes it feels like the gentlest possible thing, like the quietest imaginable reassurance, like something you barely catch at the edge of your awareness. A warmth, a lightening, a sense that someone has sat down beside you. And you might think, was that real? Did I just imagine that? And here is what I want to say to you. Trust it. Trust the tender thing. Don't analyze it out of existence. Don't hold it up to the light and poke at it until it dissolves. Just receive it. Just say thank you. Just let it be enough. Carried. There is a word I keep coming back to when I think about this. The word is carried. You have been carried through things you didn't think you would survive. If you look back at the hardest moments of your life, the ones that seemed like they might take you down for good, and you ask yourself honestly, how did I make it through that? What kept me going? What held me together when I was falling apart? And the honest answer for most people is I don't know. I don't fully know. There was something that kept me. There was something that didn't let me go, even when I was ready to let go of everything. That something has a name. And its name is not luck. And its name is not resilience, though resilience is real. And its name is not just your own stubborn will, though that matters too. Its name is faithfulness. The faithfulness of a God who does not abandon, who does not grow tired of holding you, who does not check out when things get complicated, who has been with you in every room you've ever been in, every low place, every hospital waiting room, every 2 a.m., every silent car ride, every moment when you felt most alone. You were not alone. You were never alone. You were carried, an invitation. As we come toward the end of our time together, I want to offer you an invitation. Not a challenge, not a requirement, just an invitation. In the next few days, find one moment of deliberate stillness. Just one. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to look any particular way. It can be in your car before you go inside. It can be in the first 30 seconds after you wake up. It can be on a walk, or in the shower, or sitting in your yard. And in that moment, don't try to say the right words. Don't try to feel any particular thing. Just be still. Just breathe. Just make yourself available and say if you want to. Even just a whisper, I'm here. You can find me here. I'm open. That's it. That's the whole practice. And I promise you, that simple act of availability, that small, brave decision to stop and be present, will not go unmet. You are not too much. Before we close, I want to say one more thing. Because I know how many of you carry this specific fear. The fear that you are too much, too complicated, too messy, too broken. I can feel God.